Miss McWilliams was sitting at her desk when she noticed that one of her children were crying. The child had tears rolling down her face as she was looking outside at her classmates playing on recess. Miss McWilliams gets up. She walks over to the child and asks the child, "My child, why are you crying?" The little girl says to her, "Because I want to go outside and play with the other kids." Miss McWilliams tells her, "You can't go outside and play if you didn't do your reading assignment from last night." The child nods but says, "It's not that I didn't want to do my reading assignment, Miss McWilliams. It's that I could not do my reading assignment." Miss McWilliams was perplexed and asked the child, "What do you mean you couldn't do it?" The child says, "We don't have any books in my home." Confused, Miss McWilliams was because she came from a house that was full of books, full of magazines, and any other kind of literature that you could think of that a child would want to read. She tells the child, "Nothing." She walks away, heads back to her desk to contemplate what had just happened. But this wouldn't be the first time that Miss McWilliams would hear this story, or the second or third time that Miss McWilliams would hear this story. This story was an ongoing issue in this Brooklyn City school. See, Miss McWilliams was in her first year of teaching, and at the end of the school year, she realized that she was smack dab in the middle of a book desert. The book desert is similar to a food desert, only it involves books. It's an area where there are no books. The only means of getting books is the library. And if you don't have transportation or the funds to take the city transportation to get to the library, well, then you just won't be reading, I guess. See, the problem with this is that it creates a word gap between children. A study was done in the 1980s that suggested and found out that the word gap between children at the age of 4 between medium income families and low income families is 30 million words. A recent study done in the last decade has refuted this fact and said that the number is closer to 4 million. But what's 4 million words to 30 million words? It's not that big of a difference. 4 million words is still 4 million words. Just as $4 million is still $4 million. These kids that are experiencing this word gap are initially put behind in schools and academics. They're behind the ball in getting into college. They're behind the ball when it comes to life. Because right now in our prisons, 70% of inmates cannot read above a fourth grade reading level. And if those 70% of inmates receive literary assistance, they reduce their recidivism from 70% to 16%. So what do you think the impact would be if these inmates, these prisoners, these victims of the system would have had access to books when they were children? Now, I'm not saying that all these inmates didn't have access to books. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that access to books, reading, and prison, there's a direct correlation. Another correlation that was made in 2001 by Susan B. Newman was a study that she done in 6 neighborhoods in Detroit, Los Angeles, and the District of Columbia. She did a study in 2 neighborhoods in each city, a high poverty area and a borderline poverty area. And what she found out in the borderline poverty area is that there's 13 kids to 1 book. In the high poverty area, the statistics are far more excruciating to look at. 300 students per one book. And in our own nation's capital, in a neighborhood of Anacostia, the number is far more worse. 830 kids to one book. I don't need to tell you the problems that causes. Frederick Douglass once said, once you learn to read, you will forever be free. These kids can't be free. They don't have the knowledge to free their minds. But here in Springfield, my hometown, there's a dawn of a new era. The Conscious Connect launched in 2015. The co-founders Moses Mbishi and Carlos Marshall are dedicated to ending book deserts. That is our platform for which they stand on. I had a conversation with Carlos Marshall. I asked him if he was in a room and people did not know who he was and he overheard a conversation and it started like, yeah, the Conscious Connect, how would he want that conversation or that sentence to end? He said simply he wanted to end is dedicated to ending book deserts and is also dedicated to the people. The Conscious Connect is dedicated to the people. They have shown that by their initiatives that they have launched. One of those initiatives is known as The Root. The Root is small libraries placed in barbershops, salons, and even a laundromat for kids to read books while they wait on their parents, wait to get their hair cut, wait to get their hair done, or wait for the load to get done in a washer and dryer. But they didn't stop there. They also launched what they call the Houses of Knowledge. These are libraries placed in neighborhoods that are book deserts. These little libraries also contain books that are free for kids to come and enjoy as they please. They also have a reading park. But the book deserts is too big to just be in Springfield. They have expanded to Cincinnati, Columbus, and Dayton areas as well. Because they are so connected to the communities that they are involved in. Because they are there, shovels in hand, breaking ground, and making locations for children to come and enjoy books. They launched their second reading park in Springfield, Ohio. It is also their 100th location. It is this dedication that has allowed them to be named to the Forbes 8th class of the 30 under 30. It is time that we invest in the future of our children just as they have. It is time that we get behind an organization like the Conscious Connect. It is time that we start thinking like scholars, innovating like artists, building like community organizers and entrepreneurs. It is time we in the book deserts. Thank you.